Demonstration-WNC. I'm 12 years old. I am a member of the Graham County 4-H Clover Musketeer Club, and I really like to hike and camp and be in nature. And one of the things I really hate is to see trash on the trail at a campsite. I'm hoping to hike the Appalachian Trail someday, but I don't want to see trash and toilet paper everywhere. So I'm studying the principles of leave no trace and help keep down with trash, erosion, and other things like that. The more people that practice the 7 principles of leave no trace, the less people will leave a human footprint in nature. Today, I'm going to demonstrate those 7 principles to you. The first principle is plan ahead and prepare. To plan ahead and prepare, you need to know the regulations and special concerns for the area you will visit by using something such as a guidebook like these, which include maps, trail info, and other helpful tips. You will also need to prepare for extreme weather, hazards, and emergencies. Having items such as foul weather gear, like this raincoat, flashlights, like this, and a first aid kit is important. You can also bring a first aid manual like I have here. You will want to schedule your trip to avoid times of high use and visit in small groups when possible. So, consider splitting larger groups into several smaller groups. Some trails have limits on how many people can be in one group. Our own Joyce Kilman Memorial Forest limits groups to 10 hikers. Before you leave your home, you will want to repack your food to minimize weight and waste. I'm not going to bring this whole box of oatmeal with me. It will just take up way too much space and there will be too much waste left over afterwards. But if I repackage some oatmeal into Ziploc bags like this, then it'll take up a lot less space and there will be a lot less weight left over afterwards. You may even be able to reuse the Ziploc. And don't forget to bring at least one set of directions. The 2 really important things before leaving your house is to have a complete detailed list of everything you will need, like this, and to pack it all in your pack for a trial run to make sure it's not too heavy for you to carry. Principle number 2 is travel and camp on durable surfaces. When hiking a trail, many people's first instinct is to walk around the muddy area, but that only widens the trail and damages vegetation on the side. Instead, walk through the mud or jump over it if possible. Also, don't try to make a shortcut out of the switchbacks, which cause the erosion, as you can see here. Many people are now using trekking poles in place of walking sticks, which is okay as long as you try to find some rubber stoppers that you can place over the spikes so that they do not scratch rocks and other surfaces, which could erode the trail. Principle 3 is to dispose of waste properly. It's really disgusting when coming to a campsite and seeing trash and toilet paper everywhere. But everyone needs to go, so the proper way to handle this business is to walk at least 200 feet from campsites, trails, and water sources. It's like over 70 steps. And you'll need to dig a 6 to 8 inch cat hole to begin with. And in many terrains, there's no way you can do that with the heel of your boot or a stick. So, having some type of camp shovel with you is important. Something like this, but typically a lot lighter and made out of plastic instead of wood and metal. When you're finished, you'll want to cover up the kettle and don't just throw the toilet paper to the side thinking it will decompose. Pack it out in a litter bag specifically for this purpose. You might want to line the bag with something just so you don't see the use of toilet paper as much. Make sure to wash your hands with wet wipes or hand gloves when you're finished. After eating, you'll want to wash out your dishes and cookware. Use a small amount of biodegradable soap and make sure you're at least 200 feet again from rivers or lakes. when you're finished, don't just pour the water on the ground to attract bugs and other animals. Instead, make sure to scatter it in a large arc away from trails and campsites, like this. Principle 4 is leave what you find. This step is pretty obvious in that if everyone picked the flowers or took rocks or historic artifacts, there would eventually not be any more for others to enjoy. So, like leaves and rocks and flowers, and like turtle shells and stuff. I'm just kidding, I got these from my property. Examples. They're just examples. Not only should we leave what we find, but we should not be introducing foreign items either, like building new campsites, like building new campsites with fire pits. Which brings us to principle number 5, minimizing campfire impacts. Campfires can cause lasting effects to the backcountry. Build a fire only where they are allowed and only in established fire rings. Instead of searching for big tree branches, use only sticks from the ground that can be broken by hand and are no bigger than your waist. By using small pieces of wood, you will be able to burn it all to ash easier. Make sure it's completely out and scatter the ashes in the fire before you even set it. Better yet, it's easier to have your own lightweight, portable flame stove. No mess, no fuss. Pack it in and pack it out. Moving on, we come to principle number 6. Respect wildlife. If you happen to see any wildlife on the trail, first off, you are lucky. But make sure to keep your luck by keeping your distance, because wild animals are just that, wild. Take only pictures and never feed the wild animals, either as human food can not only make them sick, but could also make them aggressive to humans. If you want to bring your own dog on the trail, make sure to keep it on a leash and controlled at all times. Because the last thing you want on a nice peaceful hike is for Rover to go off trail barking and causing a ruckus while chasing a squirrel through the woods. The last principle is number 7. Be considerate of other visitors. Have you ever gone out in the woods to enjoy the sights, sounds, and smells of nature, only to be rudely interrupted by someone talking loudly on their phone? Hello? Can you hear me now? Now? What about now? Man, the cell phone signal is bad out here. Hogging the whole trail, or even worse, smoking a cigarette. To be a good follower of the 7 principles of leave no trace, you must try to be respectful and courteous to others who are about to have a nice experience. Keep electronics down to a minimum, share the space, and keep your voice down too. When hiking a trail, it is common practice to yield to those coming uphill or larger groups. Just remember, you're not the only one that came out to have a good time. It may seem like no big deal if one person drops a candy wrapper or builds a new fire ring or sets up their tent off the trail in vegetation. But if you think about the hundreds and thousands of people that hike your trail systems in America alone, and each person just drops one piece of trash or picks one flower, what a pretty big deal it all becomes. By practicing the 7 principles of leave no trace, not only will you help keep your plant clean and nice for all to enjoy, but you might help others in learning to make a difference too. The resources I used for this demonstration include the websites scouting.org and appalachiantrail.org and various YouTube videos. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Yeah, what would be your favorite trail system that you've hiked on so far?
The question was, what would be my favorite trail system that I've hiked on so far? That's a pretty hard question. Let's see. I liked Joyce Kilmer Memorial Forest. It's a nice trail, and it's also in a figure 8, so you could just and in the middle there's like the memorial, so it's a pretty good trail. And then there are a few smaller ones that are easier to hike and stuff, but yeah, I don't know if I have a favorite.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Any questions?
Any questions?
I guess considering the as you said at the end of your presentation, the vast number of people who are, more and more every year using the national parks and our trail systems, and in many ways a diminishing amount of open space. Do you think that these 7 principles go far enough for leaving no trace, or do you have any ideas of your own that you might go even further than this? Because some of these I know have been around for many years, and there's even more and more people using things. Did you think of anything as you were doing it that you would even go further as far as leaving no trace?
The question was, do I think of anything that I would go further as far as leaving no trace? I don't know. That's a good question. I haven't really thought of anything like that yet, but that's a good question, a good idea.
Do you think that from your experience on, like in Joyce Kilmer, are you worried that we're going to have to start limiting the number of people who can hike and camp in, say, per year in some of these areas?
That's also a good question. I think it would be good to maybe minimize like how many people can come in one day, but not too much, because then no one would really come. So yeah.
Great presentation.